as well.
I was only about 3 feet away, so I just jumped in and got hold of the alligator and finally got him up to the bank and pried his jaws open and get gunning around.
And the whole thing caught on surveillance camera. That man did it all with a cigar in his mouth. This is ABC News.
When you surf the web, there's lots to be wary of. Hackers, predators.
Thanks for your banking information, Mary. Mark, thank you for all your passwords. What happened? I can't see anything. They must be using IPVanish.
IPVanish utilizes military-grade encryption and works worldwide using over 1,500 servers in 70 locations. For a limited time, secure unmetered devices on one account and save 73% off an annual subscription. Go to ipvanish.com/privacy. ipvanish.com/privacy.
Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Throughout the Ohio Valley, back to school is looking different. Each day, parents, teachers, students, coaches, and administrators are finding solutions to situations that are unprecedented. All of us at the Highlands appreciate everything you are doing and are here for the items you need. Visit hitthehighlands.com for the current guidelines and updated contact information of our retailers and restaurants.
Live and local conversation for the Ohio Valley continues shortly, here on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Attorney Tom McIntyre.
Life. It may knock you down, but you don't have to say that. I'm Tom McIntyre. I'm a bankruptcy attorney, and I'm here to help you. Give us a call, and we'll send you a copy of my free book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's an interesting read, and it'll explain bankruptcy to you like no other book does. Give us a call. We're here to help.
Call Thomas E. McIntyre and Associates at 304-232-8600. Allow us to help put you back on the road to financial success.
Update your home during Menards' last 11% rebate sale of 2020. Get 11% off all Mastercraft door systems. Choose from our in-stock selection, including pre-finished doors. Or design your door for free in-store or on Menards.com with our door designer. Stop into Menards for the last 11% rebate sale of 2020. Savings are good until November 25th. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
My little girl hurt her foot and needed a doctor fast, but her physician wasn't available, and I wanted her seen as soon as possible. Then I remembered the Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care, right in downtown Wheeling at the Stone Center on Market Plaza. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day, the center is ideal if you have a sudden sickness or injury. The doctors and nurses were great, and they also provided x-rays, a pharmacy, and lab draw station. No appointments needed, and convenient parking is nearby. Wheeling Hospital Urgent Care. They'll take good care of you.
I'm Josh from Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration. I hope you are staying healthy. We continue to respond to structural, fire, and water emergencies. We are combating COVID-19 with our highly trained staff and latest disinfection systems, providing preventative and reactive disinfection to facilities around the region, while working with area hospitals on isolation areas and air filtering. At Panhandle, we continue to follow social distancing and hygiene protocols. We are dedicated to our community, and together, we will get through this.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the Watchdog trusts.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Monday. Look for mostly cloudy skies, cooler temps, a daytime high near 44. Overnight low of 32 under mostly cloudy skies. Clouds and limited sunshine for your Tuesday with highs in the mid 40s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
I'm not a Monday guy. I'm not crazy about them either. I also don't like Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays.
Are you ready to go?
I'm warning you, I'm seriously stressed out here.
You always drink like this so early in the morning?
Isn't it a bit early in the day for the bottle, even for you?
Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
Make the radio call. It's time to get up.
It's time to hear that pop.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
We are go for live.
Live and local in the Ohio Valley. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
So, what are we talking about today here on the Watchdog Morning Show on this, I'd say marvelous Monday, but actually it's a rainy day in Monday, or at least a gloomy Monday this morning. Here's what's coming up today. Can the Super Six really be super if the best teams aren't playing? I'll talk about that. COVID vaccine is finally coming. That's the good news. Who should get it first? That's a big debate going on, not just here in this country, but around the world. And will you take the vaccine when it's available? We'll talk with Wheeling Hospital's Dr. Clark Milton to discuss the vaccine a bit later on this morning. You know, I had a big deal last week about trying to avoid politics and so on Facebook. And I tried to avoid politics and COVID and all controversy all weekend long on Facebook. I really did not get into any of that kind of stuff. And then it just snuck up on me when I least expected it. I'll share with you. We'll look at the weekend local COVID cases numbers as most Panhandle schools prepare for a pre-Thanksgiving week of remote learning. If we can't engage in the usual Thanksgiving traditions this year, can't have over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house we go because of COVID, are we creating new traditions this year? We'll take a look what some people are doing this year. West Virginia's Supreme Court kicks Governor Justice's residency case back to the lower court, pardon me, and sets some broad parameters on what it means to reside in the seat of government. Trump's legal team continues to be cut off in their efforts to overturn the election as a Pennsylvania court witherily rejects their claim. We'll have all of that coming up this morning here on the show. A few other odds and ends will pop in along the way. You're welcome to pop in along the way on the text line at 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600. Watchdog Radio Network text line. Feel free to use it when the mood strikes you. We're always happy to have you on the line. And, of course, you can use the CityNet hotline as well, 304-232-8255. Cooler day today than average temperatures this time of year, up to around 43 for the day. Cloudy, overcast skies for a good bit of the day. Don't look for a lot of sunshine, and staying that way at least probably into the early part of tomorrow. Currently 36 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. A feels-like temperature of 28. 36 feels like 28. Cloudy skies right now at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, at the home studios here in Elm Grove, and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. 7:12, Monday morning coming down. Brother Biff, how was your weekend?
Well, it wasn't too bad of a weekend.
Anything exciting, good, bad, indifferent? No major problems, no major joys, just kind of like, here it was.
Yeah, here it was. Helped out a little bit on Saturday afternoon, did a little bit of work since you didn't have Notre Dame or West Virginia. This week was their bye week, so couldn't watch college football. And then yesterday did a little bit of grocery shopping, and since the Bears didn't play yesterday, they couldn't lose, so did a little bit of grocery shopping with Dad yesterday, and other than that, that was about it, really.
Yeah, didn't do a whole lot ourselves here. Teddy was with his parents all day Saturday. Made me cry. It was his granddad. I will make you sad. I will not be there. But pardon me, folks. Monday morning frog in my throat. So he wasn't here on Saturday. Yesterday he called, Granddad, Grandma, come to our house, come to our house. There's something strange here. So we went down to his house, and they put up their Christmas tree. Oh, my God, this kid was so excited. He was bouncing off the walls. He was so excited. He jumped up and down. Come down, look at my tree, look at my tree. I don't have a star. I have a Santa hat on the top of my tree. Oh, I put this decoration up. Look at the train. I mean, 20 minutes of nonstop just, oh, look. He was so excited. And there's something strange on my tree. Well, what is it, Teddy? It's a pickle. We put a pickle on my tree. That is not something our family's ever done, but I know that's a tradition in some families, putting a pickle on a tree or an ornament of a pickle on a tree. So, whew. But I'll tell you, if yesterday was any indication, I'd say two things. First of all, it's going to be a long march to Christmas. I mean, if he keeps this kind of energy up, holy cow, it's just going to be a long march to Christmas.
Bottle some of that energy and then tell him to give it to you.
Boy, that's the truth, because I was kind of down and moving slow this weekend, but boy, that kid just, I mean, he was just so full of energy. In fact, I asked his mom, I said, popsicles? Candy? No sugar at all. This is a non-sugar high the kid was going through.
Imagine if he had some sugar in him.
No, no,
my.
it would never. But it bodes well for the holiday, though. I'm glad he's getting. I feel like this is going to be probably at 5.5. It's important to say that half. He tells me all the time, "No, Granddad, I'm not 5. I'm 5.5." At 5.5, he is, I think, probably the perfect Christmas age. Just everything is exciting to him. He's old enough to understand, and not so old he begins to question. And he just is. He's just, oh my Lord, wore me out. Seriously, wore me out. My son had been helping some other folks do some work at their house while we were with Teddy, and when Jason came home, he took one look and goes, "Dad, you feeling all right? Something wrong? You're not feeling well, are you?" I said, "Son, your son is wearing me out." He's just wearing me out. But it made me feel good about the holidays coming up. It made me feel good about Christmas. So that was my weekend, to the extent that there was excitement in my life. That was it. I'm trying to think. I don't think we had any particularly great food, good food or bad food. I can remember. We ordered out some. I can't remember where we ordered out from, but food's the other thing. The kid and food are the two things that define my life. My wife always gets upset. I'll tell Teddy. I'll say, "Teddy, you are the most important thing to me." My wife will go, "Thanks." And you got to backtrack and go, "Well, wait a minute. I didn't quite mean it the way you said." Oh, never mind. Anyway, that was my weekend. Hey, if any of you want to share your weekend with us, you can do it 304-232-8255, sitting in that hotline. 304-232-TALK. Happy to hear from you. Or use the text line, 304-214-1600. 304-214-1600. Biff, well, where are we with the Super Six? All right, so who's still playing? Who won? Who lost? Who's moving ahead? When is the actual Super Six, if we have a Super Six? Bring me up to speed on what's going on.
Well, if we do have the Super Six, it'll be December 4th and 5th, which is next Friday and Saturday. And the AA game will be played Friday night. And then Saturday will be the AAA game at noon. And then the single A game in the evening. So that is that's next weekend, 4th and the 5th. And we still have up here, we have Oak Glen still alive. They beat Herbert Hoover 53-26 over the weekend. and Oak Glen will now be playing Robert C. Byrd. And that game is going to be played, scheduled for Sunday, November 29th. That is if Hancock County, which is in orange, drops to gold.
It's in orange right now, yeah.
Yeah. So Hancock County has to drop to gold on the November 28th map release for that game to take place. And if Hancock County does not drop to gold, Robert C. Byrd will get a bid to the Super 6 without having to play a game.
You know, the question I have to ask is, can the Super 6 really be super if the best teams aren't even in it? I saw a story over the weekend, which is a statistic you would be familiar with if I wasn't. It's been, over the last 20 seasons, either Wheeling Central or Williamstown have played in the Class A football championship 15 times. 15 times in the last 20 seasons, Central or Williamstown have been in the Super 6, or been in the Super 6. And they both were knocked out early on. Not knocked out. Knocked out is one thing. They both were just not allowed to play because of COVID. They didn't get out of the first round. Oak Glen, the only local team still to move ahead, there's a distinct possibility. The whole Panhandle is in orange or red right now. Yeah, orange or red right now, basically. Marshall County's still red, I think. Everybody else is orange. But if they don't get their color up, they're moving ahead. They're one of the few teams that still keeps actually moving ahead by playing, and they're losing. So, I mean, is it even a Super 6 anymore?
Well, we had a situation over the weekend in Class Single A in the quarterfinal round. Ritchie County played Greenbrier West. Ritchie County beat Greenbrier West 38-29. The problem is the side of the bracket that Ritchie County was on also happened to be the same side of the bracket that East Hardy and Tulsa were on. So those two teams, East Hardy and Tulsa, were supposed to meet in a quarterfinal game. They couldn't because both counties were in orange. So they didn't move down to gold. So both East Hardy and Tulsa were eliminated. You had a double
Both
four.
were eliminated.
Both were eliminated. So what that meant was the Ritchie County Greenbrier West game was actually a semifinal game. Ritchie County now advances to the Super 6 without having to play a semifinal game because both East Hardy and Tulsa were eliminated. So there's only this weekend in Class Single A, there is only one semifinal game taking place, and that is Saturday at 1:30. That's Pendleton County at St. Mary's. That's the only semifinal game taking place because you had that situation over the weekend. So Ritchie County, in essence, gets a bye week into the Super 6. They don't have to play this week because both teams, East Hardy and Tulsa, got eliminated because they were orange.
I don't want to get into an argument with anybody over whether or not teams should be, whether or not COVID is affecting teams. I don't want to start they could all play anyways, Howard. I don't care what or whether. I don't want to do that. It is what it is. That phrase I hate to use, but it is what it is. If you have a COVID county in the orange or red category, you can't play. I get it. Okay, we accept that. It is what it is. But given that, and given how many counties around the state are really, it's not just one or two counties now. The counties around the state are all having problems. And we just talked about some of the specifics with these various teams. I'm not sure what I'm saying. Maybe it's time to not have a Super 6 this year. Maybe it's time to say, didn't we do it with the girls' championship or with the boys' championships this year? Just said no games, right?
Yeah, and the problem with the boys was, I think it was either, what class was it? I think double A. I think they were actually, because I think single A and triple A had advanced. Well, they did because we knew Park and Central were going to play on the same day. They were going to play that same night, I think. They were back-to-back, which would have been great. It was double A. Class AA in basketball for the boys, they didn't even get their regionals in yet. They were playing their regionals, I think, that night that the girls were playing Thursday in Charleston. So in AA, they didn't even the bracket wasn't even set yet for basketball in AA. So that's when they called it, but and
it was an asterisk season, basically. You know.
Yeah, I mean they just didn't crown any champions, and we've got a situation too. I forgot about this in football in AAA. You've got Cabell Midland, who's number one. They haven't even played a game yet in the playoffs. Both the first round and the quarterfinal round, the opponents they were supposed to play, John Marshall was supposed to be their first round opponent. They advanced because Marshall County that was in red, so or orange, they never dropped. Their second round game was supposed to be against Spring Mills, which is in Berkeley County. Berkeley County turned red, so they couldn't play. So Cabell Midland in AAA, they're the number one seed, but that's a different story. They're the number one seed in AAA. They've advanced to the semifinals without playing a game.
Yeah, that's crazy. And so wouldn't it be better, by the way, let's mix in here the possibility that Super 6 will be moved someplace because of Ohio County's color code. So, I mean, wouldn't it be better just to have said, we're not going to have a Super 6 this year, not going to have a championship game this year? And I know I'm going to get somebody calling me or texting me and saying, well, Howard, you understand these boys want to play. I get they want to play. But I even wonder, who is this advanced without playing? Cabell Midland, is that who it is you said?
Cabell Midland, yes.
Let's say they advance all the way to win the Super 6. Isn't itself a tarnished victory a little bit? I mean, will they themselves feel like they really earned that championship? Again, let's accept it is what it is, that people aren't going to play when they're in the wrong color-coded COVID county. But I don't know. Maybe it's just better off to say no Moss on the Super 6 this year. Make this an asterisk year. Because if you end up being the champion, let's say Oak Glen drops out again, which is a very distinct possibility, then you're going to have probably a AAA champion that's not going to have worked this way all the way up. Wouldn't it be better to say, no, we're just going to call it quits this year and put an asterisk by there? I don't know. Am I wrong about that, Biffrin? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think, whoever wins, they're certainly not going to – you'll take it, but I think deep down they know, and some will probably say, but some probably won't. That I mean, is it really something earned when, you're a game away from advancing to the championship with only having to play one game? And again, I mean, it goes back to, this should have been something talked about when the playoffs started, and to go even further.
Or before the playoffs started.
Before, and even in the regular season. Before the regular season even started. You had over the weekend in Ohio, they crowned 6 champions over the weekend. They played 2 games on Friday, 2 games on Saturday, 2 games yesterday. They played 1 game 2 weeks ago. I think it was either the 13th or the 12th of November. That was their first championship. The week after that, or over the weekend, you had 6 champions crowned. Ohio figured out a way to do it. They got it done. They don't have to worry about it. Had West Virginia, everybody associated with the SSAC and maybe even the governor's office, if someone would have called over to Ohio, called Tim Street from the OHSAA and said, hey, Tim, we see what you're doing in Ohio. Is there anything that maybe you could pass on to us that maybe if we look at a model here in West Virginia that you can do? We noticed that you're only going to play 6 games, and, you're going to do this. And if teams want to play in the playoffs, they can. If not, that's great. But you're still going to let them finish their season. Is there any advice that you could give us that possibly we could use here in West Virginia so we don't end up looking like idiots?
agree with you more. The teams that do advance, I mean, we could end up conceivably with 3 champions, conceivably, all of whom didn't play their way in, right? I mean, that's always possible.
Well, if I go,
so
if I look at, let's use Double A because we still have Oak Glen. So the first round, Oak Glen's played 2 games. They've actually played 2 games. The team they're playing, Robert C. Byrd, they didn't play in the first round because of the map. And let's see, they did play their quarterfinal game. So they played 1 game. So Robert C. Byrd has played 1 game. Oak Glen has played 2. The other matchup is Fairmont Senior and Bluefield. So both played in the first round and in the quarterfinal. So both of them have played. So Double A, Fairmont Senior, Bluefield, they've played 2 games. They've advanced. Oak Glen's played 2. Robert C. Byrd's the only team that hasn't played 2 games. They've only played 1. So really, when you kind of look at it, Double A is probably going to be the only class that you could literally say we're going to have a legit champion if Oak Glen ends up playing Sunday. And Robert C. Byrd doesn't advance to the championship because of that. So, yeah, I mean, Double A.
If you end up being if you end up winning the Super 6, if you become crowned the state champion, maybe with the exception of Double A, but again, who knows, how that will play out before Super 6 time. But the team that is crowned the champion has a somewhat tarnished victory. And I don't mean to put down the kids who are playing. I'm not putting that down at all. I'm just simply saying they have to know they didn't play their way in. They didn't play the best teams. So the teams that do win have to know in their mind that it's a tarnished victory. And the teams that couldn't play, like Central and Williamstown specifically,
Martinsburg and Triple A,
have to just feel it. Great point. Yep.
Park?
Absolutely, same thing. They have to feel the same way, that it's that it's not. I mean, it's not fair. It's not fair. You have a pretty strong string of championships for Central, for example, and to be denied this year's championship, not through anything you did on the field or any fault of your own, but because of COVID and you just weren't allowed to play. He's got to feel bad too.
Here's your
somebody's on the phone line, Bippy.
Oh, no. I was just saying Martinsburg is the other team in Triple A that couldn't play, and I think they're a 4 or 5-time defending state champion in Triple A. But you look at the semifinal matchups for this weekend in Triple A, and here you go. Perfect example. Bridgeport is supposed to play at Cabell Midland. That's on Sunday, but Cabell Midland has to drop from orange on the map for this Saturday. The other semifinal game is Musselman and South Charleston. That's supposed to be played Sunday unless if Berkeley County has to drop from gold on Saturday's map. So your AAA semifinal matchups for this weekend you could have 2 teams advancing next week to the Super 6 without having to play a semifinal game in AAA.
Yeah, see, something isn't right about that all the way around. And I got a text here off the text line at 304-214-1600. Exactly how risky is it for the kids to play football? Has anybody kept stats for how many of the boys actually tested positive? The answer is I don't know. And my argument here today is I don't want to argue whether or not the decision to not let kids play was a good decision or a bad decision. We can have that argument some other time. What I do want to talk about is because we are where we are, because we have the color-coded map, because we have COVID that has created the color-coded map, and because we have rules and regulations promulgated at the top that these kids can't play, because that is where we are. Whether or not those are right or wrong, it is where we are. We're not going to change that. Is it right to then crown champions who aren't really champions? and maybe I take it a little bit personal because, Central in particular, I guess I feel particularly bad for Central. Coach Young said, and I quote here, "I question why. You're told a week before you might not be playing, but these kids have been planning on playing the whole year. They've been planning on playing since they were in junior high and grade school. To be shut out in this way, where you don't have high school football players with COVID, you do all the things you're supposed to do, and then you should just go play." The thing, Williamstown's head coach says, quote, "This thing could have been handled a lot better." Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think this thing could have been handled a whole lot better. And again, my argument here at this point, we're not going to go back and change the rules. We're not going to go back and say, oh, we've got to, these kids can play. We'll have proper protocols and so on. Instead, we just have to accept that this is where we are. But in the end, when you look back on this season, if you're the champion, if you are the Super 6 winner, does it really mean? I'm sure it means something. I don't want to suggest it doesn't. I mean, you still have the trophy, you still have the title, right? But I don't know. Is the Super 6 really super if the best teams can't play? You have some thoughts on that, you can call me or text me. Love to have your take on it as well. You heard what Biff and I had to say. And I suppose nobody's going to listen to us. but it just seems to me that this is.
So I think what we just figured out here is, as long as Oak Glen gets to play Robert Seabird on Sunday, that the AA champion, I think we can actually say is going to be legit. Single A, triple A, if you want to say, okay, you can put an asterisk by it, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But I think AA will be the only one of the three that you could say will be a legit champion.
But we still have 2 more games to go, and it's possible that even in AA, somebody could fall out because of COVID. And again, I think I haven't done a deep dive on the numbers, so I don't know where Brooke County is in terms of, or is it Hancock County? Oak Glen is
Hancock County.
Hancock County.
Yeah, that's Oak Glen.
I haven't done a deep dive to see where they are in terms of how close they are to getting back down. But they're orange right now. They couldn't play today. And if things come out this weekend and they're still orange, they're not going to be able to play either. So even that class could be messed up by the time we get to the Super 6. Smart move. I don't know if it's the smartest move. I think a move that just makes everybody feel better about the end of it. It says, we're just not going to crown a champion this year. And we'll put an asterisk on the season, and better luck next year, boys. I mean, and again, that's not, I know, I'm going to get texts, I'm going to get Facebook messages, and you're going to yell at me and say, hey, but these kids want to play, and they have deserve. I know, but they can't. So it is what it is. So let's just, and again, maybe I feel particularly frustrated about it because of Central. But if you have some thoughts on it, send them to me, and we'll text and we'll talk about it. Hey, Governor Justice has to reside in the seat of government. That seems to be what the Supreme Court had to say in West Virginia this past week. I want to talk about that. It's technically going back to the lower court, but the Supreme Court, Justice's arguments have been that nobody can define what reside is, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, no, we can. We can figure that out. So we'll talk about that story coming up in a bit here on the Watchdog Morning Show. We'll get weather with Zach in just a minute, but first we'll get some news and sports for you.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time.
If I just got a text saying Facebook audio is really low, if you have a chance sometime before 10, take a look at that.
And lost their quarterback, Joe Burrow. The rookie suffered a torn ACL injury. And in case you missed it Sunday night, the Chiefs came back to beat the Raiders 35-31. Kansas City improves to 9-1. Tonight, 6-3, Rams visit the 7-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Your college football rankings are out according to the Associated Press. Your top 5, number 1, Alabama. At number 2, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. At number 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes. At number 4, Clemson. Rounding out the top 5 at number 5, the Aggies out of Texas A&M. By the way, at number 17, in the top 20, unbeaten Marshall at 7-0. Hey, be safe out there. Be considerate of others. Please check on the elderly. I'm Bill DeFabio on AM 1600, and we are the Watchdog.
This week is Menard's last 11% rebate sale of 2020. Stop in for great savings. Get quality drinking water in your home with an under-counter water filtration system from Watts. It reduces lead, chlorine, and odor from your water. $64.99 after 11% rebate. Stop into Menard's for the last 11% rebate sale of 2020. Savings are good until November 25th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
A serious injury from an accident can be just the start of your worries. What if you cannot return to work? How do you take care of your family if you're disabled? At Gelner Law Offices, we represent seriously injured people and understand their problem. We know how to get you fair compensation. We will work hard to make sure you get the money you deserve for your losses. Don't go it alone. If you're hurt in an accident, call us at 304-242-2900 or visit us at gelnerlaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Throughout the Ohio Valley, back to school is looking different. Each day, parents, teachers, students, coaches, and administrators are finding solutions to situations that are unprecedented. All of us at the Highlands appreciate everything you are doing and are here for the items you need. Visit hitthehighlands.com for the current guidelines and updated contact information of our retailers and restaurants.
24/7 roadside assistance, exclusive discounts, and much more. Save $20 on a new AAA gift membership and add a second member for free. Plus, get a $10 gift card. Visit your local office or AAA.com/AAA gift.
It's the Christmas traditions that make this time of year so special. Like spending time with family and friends, the spirit of giving, remembering our blessings.
May your holidays be truly bright. Merry Christmas from Main Street Bank.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime power protection.
It's your turn to talk. From politics to pet peeves, get it off your chest and on the air. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
So I almost went back to bed this morning. I was waking up and I heard Zach on the Big 7 saying that you should just curl up with a blanket, or maybe your dog or cat. I'm allergic to dogs or cats. But curl up with your blanket and a little bit of the fire and just kind of, cuddle up tonight. I almost went back to sleep. I almost said, well, that's it. Zach says, no sense in getting up. I'm just going to grab this giant blankie of mine and put it right back over my head and hang out in bed for a while. But I didn't. I got up and came to work, and for no other reason than to get the details of that weather forecast from Zach Petty. Good morning, Zach.
Morning, Howard. I'm glad you felt the same way as I did this morning, because I woke up and I was like, you know what? It looks kind of crappy outside. Why not just stay in bed? But I'm like, well, who is going to get the weather details from me then? There's going to be a lot of people who wouldn't know that it's going to be one of those days. So I have to be here and tell you, hey, just stay in bed today because you're going to be better off, just because it's going to be rather gray, overcast, and just blast.
I mean, it would be embarrassing if Taylor said, now let's go to Zach for the weather, and either there was nothing there but a green screen, or even worse, if they found you underneath the weather center there with the blanket all wrapped around you taking a nap. So, it's a good thing you came to work and actually went to work. I'm glad to hear that.
Of course, I'm sure many people are happy, but there might be a few like, well, maybe he needs to take the time off. We'll bring Dr. Dave in the morning. Let him do the 24-hour shift.
I started the show off by rainy days and Mondays, but it's not actually going to be a rainy day, just a gloomy day, right?
Yeah, just gloomy, gray, and overcast, and truly just colorless. No bright blue skies or abundant sunshine, just thick and prominent cloud coverage. There could be a stray sprinkle or a mist drizzle due to the overcast skies today, but again, nothing in terms of soaking rain is expected in the forecast today.
We're going to get up to around 43, I think, is your prediction. A little bit warmer than we are right now. 36 is what the airport is saying, although they've got a feels-like temperature of 28, so it's a cool morning. In addition to gray and overcast, it's cool as well.
Yeah, it just kind of makes it all want to just find your favorite four-legged friend and curl up by the fire and have some hot cocoa and whatever else you want to do. Just stay inside, honestly.
I had a cup of hot chocolate last night. Oh, I haven't had that in a long time. That was so good. This would be a good day for hot chocolate. It's a very good point, Zach. Very, very good point. Tomorrow, pretty much the same thing, though, right?
Yeah, much of the same. I mean, we'll warm up slightly by a rousing 3 degrees. Our expected high temperature will be in the mid-40s. So I don't know if you'll be able to feel the difference. Winds look to be calming down tonight and into tomorrow. So there's good news on that front, but still just going to be stuck with gray and kind of overcast skies. Maybe we'll see a little more filtered sunlight in the Ohio Valley tomorrow compared to what is expected today. So there's some room for a positive note, maybe dry weather, but all looks to come crashing down as we head into Wednesday. It looks like we're going to get some rain, and much needed rain, actually. Let me get my facts up. I got to go here. How much rain have we had through the month of November? We've had 1.21 inches of precipitation recorded at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. Our normal, Howard, is 2.43 inches of rain. So we're a little under 1.2 inches of rain. So we need some much-needed rain in through the Ohio Valley.
Around half is where we
Exactly, yeah. Around half. I like your thinking is a lot better than mine.
So, all right. So that'll come in on, Wednesday, you said?
Yeah, Wednesday. And at least we look to be rather dry as we head into my favorite holiday. Howard, I can't even remember. You said that you enjoy Thanksgiving, but is it your favorite holiday?
Oh, I think it probably is. I mean, because there are only two things important on Thanksgiving: food and family.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, there's nothing else yet. I've said it many times. You don't have to worry about running around. Christmas Day, we run around from different house to different, well, we won't this year, but normally run around from different house to different house to make sure all the kids, we see the kids see us, everybody gets their gift. Christmas Day can wear you out sometimes.
True.
Especially if you have kids in your family. But Thanksgiving, it's just have the family in and eat.
Right, take out.
What could be better than that, right?
They truly can't find anything.
Yeah, exactly. Although we're not going to have family, and most people aren't having family in for this year. So anyways, so what's Thanksgiving going to look like? It's going to be continuing rainy, is that right?
No, there's the possibility of a remnant shower early on, but again, it's just going to be gloomy and gray and just kind of sticking with the trend of the dull weather in through the Ohio Valley. But we'll see temperatures almost 10 degrees above average on Thursday with temperatures in the mid-50s. So maybe feeling a little warmer, but maybe not just because of the weather making it feel, well, not so pleasant outside just because of the gray and overcast in nature.
Okay. All right. So just kind of a gloomy week, really. Just, but again, it's kind of there's a Thanksgiving feel to that. I mean,
yeah.
Sunshine and blue skies are not really what I want on Thanksgiving. I don't mind a little overcast. So we'll enjoy the week no matter what it is. All right, Zach. Well, let's see. We talked to you over 2 more days, and then Biff and I get time off. You don't.
Nope, I'll
Biff
be
and I
here
get time
working.
off. But then next week you get time off. So.
Yes, I get much looking forward to my week off, and you'll be with Aaron, which, like you said, is doing quite well. I mean, I had high expectations for him here. I interned with him up in Youngstown last summer, and he knows his stuff. He's doing well, and looking forward to continue to work with him. And I'm sure him and I are going to continue to grow and do the best that we can here.
All right. Sounds good. Zach, have yourself a great day. We will talk again tomorrow morning.
All right. Sounds good, Howard. Take it easy. You too, Biff.
Thanks.
It's 35 degrees. Actually dropped the temperature. It dropped a degree. It was 36 earlier. 35 degrees as the sun comes up, but the sun is not really chasing away the clouds, still partly cloudy. 35 degrees with a feels-like temperature of 29 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and here at the home studios in Elm Grove, and at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. I want to get a DC Digest in here, a couple of political stories of import to talk about. Before I do that, Biffy, do I have to take a break here?
No, we're good.
You sure?
Oh, I'm positive.
I'm happy to give you a break if you want to take a break.
No, I'm positive. We're ready to rock and roll.
Okay, all right. Then let's rock and roll with our morning DC Digest. A few political stories for you.
Here's some of the news from the nation's capital you'll be talking about today. This is the DC Digest on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
The election certification deadlines across this country begin to arrive. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, all will have their certification deadline set today. Now, that is normally just not today, but this week sometime. That is normally a formality. I mean, we don't even normally cover the, election certifications. We wait until, we have election night's projections, and we have the official count and canvass in different areas, and then we just move on. I mean, this business of certifying the results and all that kind of stuff is so routine. It is so de rigueur that we don't normally talk about it. But this year, things are a little bit different because President Trump is trying to overturn the election, and it is challenges to that state certification process that are at the core of his strategy. He hopes to force state legislatures to ignore the vote and appoint pro-Trump legislators who will vote for him in the Electoral College. Problem is, they can't take that. Even if the state legislatures want to do that, I don't think they will. They can't take that control if election results are already certified. So the question has to be done. There has to be questions raised about the certification process before the whole thing is done. So we'll be watching that closely this week. Over the weekend, a Pennsylvania judge not just threw out Trump's complaints, but I think I used the word witheringly earlier. I mean, he witheringly threw out Trump's legal team's arguments. I mean, basically, he said, you got nothing here, guys. You got absolutely nothing. And I want you to keep in mind, this is a federal district judge who is a longtime Republican. This is not one of them Obama judges. It's a longtime Republican judge who basically threw the whole case out, used some pretty harsh words in his dismissal. I want to quote here, "This court has been presented with strained legal arguments with no merit and speculative accusations unpled in the operative complaint," meaning they tried to argue things they weren't even presenting as an argument in their briefs, "and unsupported by evidence." The judge said, "Our people, our laws, and our institutions demand more." I mean, he just basically said, get out of my courtroom. That's really what he basically said, get out of my court. Take all this crap. And Giuliani's running, dripping dye from his head. Just get out of my courtroom. Go away. Go. That's basically what he said. Now, I believe that the Trump administration already has said that they intend to appeal that. Of course they're going to appeal that. And Trump's legal team is going to try and take this all the way to the Supreme Court if they can, banking on 3 appointees from Trump perhaps siding with him. I don't think they will. I mean, there's absolutely no legal basis at all. None. Zip, zero, zilch, niet, nine, nihil, none. There's no legal basis for what Trump's trying to do. And every single court they've been at so far has said the same thing. Go home. Go home. Get ready for a transition. In Georgia, all 5 million votes will be counted for a third time. The recount requested by the Trump campaign on the grounds that the winning margin was narrow enough to justify it. Joe Biden won Georgia by 0.26%. I thought it was 0.25 that was the number for 0.25 or under that was the number for an automatic recount, which I guess it's not. So that's why the Trump team has to pay, I think, for this recount. And although, as I mentioned, the judge in this Pennsylvania case, Judge Bren, is a long-standing, very Republican judge. President Trump called the judge's ruling part of the never-ending witch hunt. If you don't agree with him, it's always a witch hunt. So we're going to be watching all of this stuff very closely this week. There is one, I think it's in Michigan. There is at least one elector that has told people, but not publicly, but it's being reported. At least one of the in most of these cases, there are 4 electors on the board, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans in most states. And one of the Republicans, I think it's Michigan, has said that he will not vote to certify the results. I've not heard from the other Republican. That could conceivably pave the way for the legislature to take action. Although, I just don't think you're going to see it. Meanwhile, Georgia voters, once the recounts are done and whatever happens with Trump is done, Georgia voters are not getting a break from politics anytime soon. They're facing not 1 but 2 runoff elections for the Senate. And of course, that will make it a big decision whether or not the Republicans control the Senate or the Democrats take control on Capitol Hill. More than $125 million already spent in Georgia in the past 2 weeks to fund the campaign of the 2 candidates and their challengers. Democrats Joan Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock are facing off against 2 incumbent Republican senators, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue. Early voting in Georgia begins December 14th. So if you're a Georgian, just about the time the presidential election is officially, finally, fully declared in your state, hey, it's time for another election again. Yikes and yoy. All right. Our DC Digest for you this morning. So, COVID vaccine is coming. Will you take it? Who should get it first? Did this speeded up vaccine process, did it work or does it create some problems? Do you get a little bit nervous about it? We'll talk with Dr. Clark Milton from Wheeling Hospital coming up next on that subject here on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Monday. It's 8 o'clock.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
All right, I was pleased with that hour. That worked fairly well. And the Super 6 conversation was good, so I think that was good. I always like to assess how we did. I think we did pretty good this time, Biffy. We'll see what happens next hour. Dr. Milton is supposed to call at 8:10. We'll do him, and that's the only guest I've got. So, although I actually I just now put a text out to Spanago to see if he wants to come on and talk about the residency issue. I haven't heard back from him. I'm not sure I will. Go ahead. Call it again. Yeah, the other marketing person just sent me an email saying I've lost the number, so I told him. I sent it to him, so I'm sure they'll be all right. Okay, sounds good. I'm going to get some more coffee. I'm sucking too much coffee down this morning. I'll be back in a minute.